What's up, everyone? It's Christina from the Glaser Tutoring Company, and today we're going to be solving a system of equations with two variables with a beautiful word problem. Let's get down to it. So in this case, it says, if the scientists mixed 10% of a saline solution with 60% of a saline solution to ultimately get 25 gallons of a 40% saline solution, how many gallons of the 10% and the 60% solutions were mixed? Okay, now with word problems, we can't really do much unless we have formulas, right? Where are the formulas? Show me the formulas. They're not here. We have to make them. And usually with formulas comes variables, right? You have some of those pesky letters, X, Y, right? So we have to find our formulas. Now, the most important part, or the most important thing that I can give you an advice on, is always write down your variables first. And it always stems from what the question is asking for. Now, in this case, they're asking for how many gallons of those solutions. We have two different solutions. We have 10% and we have 60%. So we want to find out how many gallons were in the 10% solution and then how many gallons were in the 60% solution. I don't know how much of each I had. So that's why we're going to label them as variables. And whatever letters you want to use, it doesn't matter to me, right? I always go for a good old X. So I'm going to start with X, right? And it doesn't matter if you say, X is going with the 10% or X is going with 60. It does not matter at all. I'm just going to go with the 10 because maybe they talked about it first. So we're going to say X equals the gallons of the 10% solution. Now, if we're talking about the 60% solution, I can't say that it's X again, because if I have two X's, that means that they're the same amount of gallons, but we don't know that. There was nothing in this question that said that they were the same. So they could be different numbers, so that's why we just have to denote it, not donate it, but denote it as a different letter. In this case, I'll choose Y, but once again, you could use any letter that you want. And I'm going to say that this is now gallons of the 60% solution. Okay. Now let's go and find those formulas. Now, quick tip is that for systems of equations, for as many variables as you have, that's how many formulas you have to make. So in this case, since we're dealing with 4 variables, just kidding, 2. Sometimes my mind goes crazy. If you have 2 variables, just like we have here, X and Y, we need to make up 2 equations. So let's try it out. Equation 1. Now, as I reread this again, right, it says that we are mixing the 10% solution with the 60% solution to get 25 gallons. Now, the 25 gallons is the total. So we have a total of 25 gallons. Well, that I can use for a formula, because if I'm just adding X amount of gallons and Y amount of gallons, the total has to equal 25. So if I take all the gallons of the 10% solution and I add it with the total amount of gallons in the Y, right, which is the 60% solution, that total amount should equal what number? Yeah, 25. So that's equation number 1. We know that just by adding the 10% solution gallons and the 60%, we should have a total of 25 gallons. Now let's try to find out the next equation. Now we're probably going to have to deal with something with this 10% and this 60. Now it's all talking about a mixture, right? A scientist mixed. And another word, or another way to say a mixture, is if you're talking about you're adding 2 things together, literally addition. So we're going to be adding the 10% solution with the 60%. Now, in math, we don't use percents. We always love to use the decimals. So just know that if you need to convert from a percentage to a decimal, you just move the decimal over twice, or you could divide by 100. So a 10% solution divided by 100 is the same thing as saying 0.1. And then to do the same thing with all the other ones, right? So this would be 0.1. 60 divided by 100, or just move the decimal over to the left 2 times, that would be 0.6. And then the same thing with that 40%. This would be 0.40. So now we are adding together, we are mixing that 10% solution. So I'm going to put that down as a number, 0.10. That's the 10%. But now, how many gallons do I have of that 10%? I don't know. That's why we're going to label it as X. So I'm going to add the unknown value that I know of for the gallons times by the 10%. X goes with the 10. And since I'm mixing them together, I am adding it with the 60% solution, which is the Y. I don't know how many gallons that is, so I'm going to label it as Y, but I do know that it's 60%, but that's 0.60, and that's Y. If I am mixing these two solutions together, the X and the Y, I will get, this is also known as equal, 25 gallons of, use your terminology for, when you do PEMDAS, right? PEMDAS, of means multiply. So it's 25 gallons times of 40%, which is 0.4. So we're going to say this equals, because it says to get equals, we'll just keep it standard. So we'll say 0.40 times 25, or 25 times 0.4. And there you go. There's your two formulas. Now, what we're going to do is use one of our methods to solve systems of equations. You could do substitution, addition, or elimination techniques. Now, since my equation 1 has just x equals or y equals, what I'm going to do is I'm either going to solve for x equals or y equals, because then I can use my substitution technique, where I'm going to substitute in my one equation to the other one. I guess since x is right here, maybe we'll solve for x. So instead of plus y, maybe I'll minus y on both sides. And then, let me just, pull this down a little bit. This would be the same thing as saying x equals 25 minus y. Now here comes the substitution technique, because the substitution technique says that whatever your x value is in the other equation, which is right here, we're going to take what that equals to and plug it on into what the x value is. So instead of saying x, I'm going to say 25 minus y. So let's go for it. 0.10 times now by 25 minus y. That's what the x really equals. And because we did that, we eliminated our x values, and now we just have y's. Plus 0.60y equals, we could just multiply this out, right? 25 times 0.4. 25 times 4 is 100, so this would be equal to 10. Now let's just use our PEMDAS. We're going to distribute and see what we got. So this would be 2.5 minus 0.10y plus 0.60y equals 10. Let's maybe round up those y values. So this would be 2.5 plus 0.50y equals 10. Let's move the 2.5 on over. Okay. And I'm running out a little bit of room here. So maybe we'll just move it on this side. We're going to keep going. 0.50y equals, this is 7.5. And we got a half of 75, 7.5. So what is that? 150, so 1.5. We could always go to Calci. And y is in red, so I'll just mark this off with red. This is the y value. Y equals 15. And maybe what I'll say is we'll say 15 gallons of y was the 60%. So maybe we'll say that. Y was the 15 gallons of the 60% solution. And maybe I'll just box that off in yellow. And now we can find out what the x value was. So what I'm going to do, maybe we're just going to scooch this over a little bit and see what room we got here going on. Maybe we'll pull this over a little bit. Whee! That's good enough. I'll just triple check. 7.5 divided by 0.5. Yep, 15. Okay, and then use one of your equations that works easiest for you to find out the other one. Now, since we already said that x equals 25 minus y, I'm just going to go straight for that. X equals 25 minus the y value was 15. So 25 minus 15 is 10. So this equals 10 gallons of the 10% solution. And that are both of them. So the question was asking for how many gallons of the 10 and the 60%. We had 15 gallons of 60 and we had 10 gallons of 10. Okay, there you go. I hope this helped. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for viewing the video. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Tell your friends, tell your classmates about this cool channel. My brother and I, we really want to help you succeed in, all your educational studies. So we got physics and math videos and chem videos on the channel. You could also go to our website to check out, what goodies we have for you there. We really want to help you out and we don't want to let you down. All right. So I will talk to you soon. Okay. Bye-bye. Also, I would like to give a huge shout out to Maricela. Thank you so much for being a member to the channel. Your support means a lot to my brother and me, and we're thrilled to have you be a part of this amazing community. Memberships are open on the channel, and if you want to become a member, just click that join button, which can be found below on any video if you're watching on your desktop, or it can be found on the overall channel page too. For all of you that want your name shown in the video, don't forget to choose the gold tier or higher. Thank you so much for considering and have a great day. Talk to you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.